So there's lovely people over at Template Monster reached out to me recently and asked me would I take a look at the Monstroid2 theme and show you the kinds of things you can do with it. Now normally I don't really do much with other themes, but with this one, because it's by Zemez, the people that brought you the Jet plugins, kind of piqued my interest to see what would it actually offer us. So in this video, I'm going to just take you through the process of setting things up, what's included, and give you a basic overview of the Monstroid2 theme. As always, with sponsored videos, this is not a review, this is just me demonstrating how something works, and then it's entirely up to you guys if you think this is something you'd like to invest your time and your money into. Now, the Monstroid2 theme isn't really what you consider a typical theme. It's more of a pre-designed package. It offers you a theme, including a child theme, but it also comes bundled with a ton of really useful plugins, most of which are Jet plugins. Now, if you've never seen the Jet plugins, they offer some really innovative tools that work alongside Elementor and doesn't require Elementor Pro to be part of your toolkit. So you can start to leverage the power of things like Jet Menu, where you can get advanced menu structures, all inside your WordPress copy using Elementor and these tools. So it does open up a ton of options and possibilities, and especially if you are used to working with the Elementor page builder, this is going to feel like very familiar territory. And like I say, you don't need the pro version of Elementor to tap in and start utilizing all the kinds of things you can do with the Monstroid2 theme. So when you're looking at this, bear that in mind. You're not just simply getting a theme like Astra or Ocean WP or something along those lines. You're getting more of a package, a creative package that allows you to do a lot of different things. Okay, so now we've kind of got that out of the way. Let's take a look at the process of installing everything, because it is a little bit different to what you're used to. Now, once you purchase your copy of Monstroid2, you download the zip file, you'll have a lot of different folders inside there. And what you're looking for is the M2 theme wizard. All you need to do is drag that out of the zip folder and then just put that onto your desktop and then upload it. And that's where we are now. So I've already gone ahead and uploaded that. So I'm going to activate it. And once you activate it, it's going to ask you for your order ID. So you just simply need to drop your order ID in there, and then you can start the installation routine. So I'm going to grab my order ID, paste that in, and then we can start taking a look at how the installation works. So there's my order ID. We'll start the installation. And what that's going to do is going to take us over now to the second stage, where it's going to check our license and download and install the theme. Now, the nice thing with this is it downloads both the parent theme and also a child theme. Now, for me personally, I would generally recommend you always use a child theme. I'm not going to go into the details as to why I think it's the thing you should do, but just bear in mind that if you make an update to the main theme and you made changes to it, you will lose those changes. However, if you use a child theme, you negate that problem. You can update your parent theme as often as you want, knowing that the changes you've made will all stay intact. So I'm going to choose use a child theme. We'll click continue to take us through to the next stage. So this is going to download, generate everything and do all the things we needed to do. So the next stage is taking us through where we can select the skin that we want to use. Now, if you consider a skin to be a sort of starting design that you can utilize, and we already have a ton of different options to choose from inside here, tons of really nice looking designs. If we want to, we can easily open up and view a demo. So we'll open that up in a new tab and we can see the entire thing on there and we can see exactly what it would look like. Now, we have the choice in the next stage to go through and choose whether you want to download and install all this pre-designed content. We can choose to do that or not. It's entirely up to you. So what we're going to do is we're going to just choose a design, and I'm going to keep it something really, really simple. Let's come down and just say we're going to pick something along the lines of, let's try this one, this backpack story. So we'll just say start install. That's now going to go through and tell us what we need to install, what it recommends we install, and options to what we want to install. So you can see the required plugins are the Jet Data Importer and Carver Extra. However, then we can go through and choose any of the recommended plugins. So if you know what these kinds of things do, you can choose what you want, or you can just let it go through and do the recommended plugins. And if you want to, you can even add all the extra plugins as well. So things like WooCommerce and things along those lines. If we look at the recommended plugins, we have things like Elementor, the page builder. So this is a free version, so this is not the pro version. However, most of the things you should need to do will probably be covered with the Jet plugins. And I think that is where the strength and the beauty of this particular sort of package comes in, is that it is just that, a package. You can use Elementor, you don't need to spend any more money on the pro version. You can then use all the Jet plugins or any of the Jet plugins that are part of this copy of Monstroid 2 and just choose what you want and expand your functionality. So we're going to just say we'll leave the recommended plugins go through. That's all perfectly fine. The one I'm going to get rid of though is the contact form builder from HubSpot. So we're going to just disable that. Now we can say if we want to skip to the demo content so we don't have to worry about any of this, or we can just choose next and let it go through the routine of downloading and setting up and installing everything. So we'll say click on next. That will then take us through to a little meter that then shows us the whole process of the data importer, installing all the plugins and all those kinds of things. So I'm going to pause the video, let that run through installing everything, and then we'll take a look at the next stage. Now that all the plugins that we've chosen are installed, we have the next option, which is whether we want to append any demo content. So maybe we'd created some content, we then installed Monstroid 2 and we wanted to keep our content, we could append that so all the existing content would stay and any of the additional content, the demo data, would be placed alongside that. We can go through and replace any existing content with the demo content, so that would wipe everything out, or we can skip the demo content installation completely. As this is a clean install, I'm just going to say append demo content by using existing content and just say next and let that go through the process now of downloading and installing all the demo content. So you can see it gives us information about the process of the import, the posts, the authors, media, and so on. So we'll let that complete, and once that's completed, we'll take a look at the next stage. And there we go. That's the final stage. Now, once we've completed, you can see we've got some extra information. We can find out various different things about the Monstroid2 theme. We can take a look at our site and see where we are at the moment. We can proceed to start editing our pages, or we can take a look at the documentation to make sure that we can get answers to pretty much all the questions we may have. We've also got access to a vast knowledge base, which again allows us to get answers to common questions, or you could join the community if you wanted to, or finally, we could select a different skin and take a look at something else and replace what we've currently chosen. So let's kick things off by taking a look at the site. So let's just view our site. We can jump over and take a look at that in action. And here we go. There's our starter site. As you can see, we've got some nice animations. All the assets have been downloaded. So we've got a starting point that we can use to either just replace the images and text to get something that's more personalized, or we can just strip out the pages and start building things ourselves, whatever you want to do. And that kind of leads on to the whole point of what Monstroid 2 is. Like I say, if you wanted to and you are comfortable working with WordPress, you could basically just choose to install the plugins you want, the bare bones theme, none of the demo content, and then use it in a traditional fashion as a normal kind of theme. However, if you are someone that is not that confident working this way, or you just don't really know how to design something that looks good, you have a great starting point with the ability to expand what you can do without any real problem with a great suite of plugins included in that one package. So there's a lot of variations in options, designs, and features to make sure it kind of caters for most end users. However, if you're the kind of person like myself that's more accustomed to building sites from scratch with a pretty much blank theme, this is probably a little overkill. However, like I say, this is catering more to that market, I think, where you've got people that just don't really have a great design eye and they want something quick and easy with the ability to expand it without any real problem and without a ton of additional outlay. Now, alongside this wizard where we set everything up, we have some additional options as part of the Monstroid 2 theme inside the dashboard. If we take a look on the left-hand side, you can see we've got Monstroid 2. We click on the first entry inside there. That'll take us over now so we can take a look at various different sections. So we can see we've got an update. We'll take a look at that in a moment. However, things are broken down now into these various different component sections. These allow us to get quick access to various different aspects of the theme, of our license, of the plugins, the skin, and any settings that we have, but also the user guide. So if you wanted to take a look at how to do something, you can simply open up the user guide, and then you have easy access again to that documentation, the knowledge base, tutorial videos, the community, and so on. So it's easy to find that information. We want to take a look at the theme, we can click on there and we'll take a look at all the options to do with the theme itself. So you can see this is the current skin we're using. It'll tell us what version, if there's an update available, the child theme if we're using one. One of the things I do like about this is, let's just say, for example, that you are making some changes, there's an update and you want to update, but you want to make sure that you've got a backup. You can do that directly inside here. So let's just say all we need to do is turn this on. Once we turn that on, that'll give us access now that every time there's an update and we download that update, it'll apply it and create a backup. We can also create a backup manually. So if we just simply say create backup, that'll take a second or two to go through the process. And now we'll see we've now got a backup, which we can download, or we could delete it if we want to. So that's a nice, simple feature. We can check for any updates to make sure that we've got the latest version. If we don't, we can update that directly inside here. We're currently running the latest version. So you can see some nice little features built in. Come back up and take a look at the plugins. We can click and open that up. And that'll show us all the plugins that we have access to, any updates that may be available. We can synchronize template library. So if anything is using a range of different templates, like in this example, the Jet theme core, we can easily synchronize the templates to make sure that we've got everything the most up to date and any new ones that we currently have access to. We can check for updates across the board for all these plugins, and we can check for new plugins. So if in the future you find that there's an additional plugin added to the Monstroid2 theme, you can find out inside here, and then you can download and install that if you so require. So you can see if we scroll down, we've got documentation to any of the different Jet plugins. We can install any that are currently not installed. We can check the version information and all those kinds of useful things. So anything we don't have installed, we can install directly from here. Anything we do, we can just check for updates and so on. Skins, we can take a look inside there, and that'll show us all the different pre-designed skins like we saw when we set things up at the beginning using the wizard. So if we wanted to try something different, we can easily come into this, choose a different design altogether, install that, and then go through that installation routine like we just had, choosing any of the additional plugins we want, any optional plugins, changing various different things like the demo date that's downloaded, how that's handled, and so on. So it's a very simple and easy way to manage the entire sort of installation of Monstroid 2, and also keep track of all the updates and making sure that if you update something, you don't end up getting yourself into a problem because you can take backups. Now, if you've ever used Elementor Pro, you know one of the cool things about that is the ability to create your own custom templates, headers, footers, all those kinds of useful things. Well, because we don't have Elementor Pro as part of this, and you don't necessarily need to use it, what we can do is use this other plugins we've got from part of Jet, is if we come into the My Library section, we can see that we've got some custom headers and footers and header secondary, but we also pretty much have an exactly the same set of features that we would have in Elementor Pro. So we can create custom templates for our headers, footers, sections, and so on. If we come in and take a look, for example, at the header, we can just come in, we can say edit with Elementor, and what that'll do is that'll open up and allow us to create any kind of layout that we want using the Elementor tools. So you can see we can create things like your logos and stuff along those lines. We also have the magic button. Now the magic button is part of the Jet suite of plugins, and if we click to open that up, what that does is it gives us access to a lot of pre-designed both pages and blocks and various different things that we can utilize either exactly as they are, or we can use them as the basis for creating our own custom designs. So for example, we may want to pull in a different header. We can pull one of these pre-designed ones in, and then we can make changes to it to make sure it fits in exactly what we want. So this is the kind of thing you'd expect to see in Elementor and Elementor Pro. However, what this does is it gives you a lot more options. Now, these are primarily taken from those skins. So you're going to find you can pull in a header and a footer that are already quite consistent with each other because they are taken from one of the pre-designed skins that you can download in its entirety. Or with this example, you can pull in just the block elements that you want. So you can see we've got headers, footers, sections, archives, and so on. Come to pages. That'll allow us to download an entire page structure, and that's an easy way of letting get a pre-designed style and layout. So you can see everything is broken down into various different categories. So we've got about pages, blog pages, careers, coming soon, contacts, and so on. You click on any of those, you'll see it'll filter it out and show us just the ones that are applicable to that particular category within inside a site. And as you can see, these are using those predefined layouts that are part of those skins. So you can pull these in and dissect them, change the colors, and do all those kinds of things to make sure you can kind of mix and match all those different aspects and get something that's a little more unique just by utilizing those predefined layouts. Go to sections. This will give us a range of different building block sections. So instead of an entire page, this will be part of a page. So a header, services section, and so on. And again, you can see everything is broken down on the left-hand side to its component section. In other words, advanced carousels, maps, banners, blogs, and so on. So we could say we want a call to action. We can click and you can see that now gives us a range of really nicely designed call to actions that we can load in and do whatever we want with. So we've got a load of options inside here, and if you come to My Library, if you created your own and saved those, so things like our header and footer and so on, they would also be available inside here, and we could insert those into our layout any way we wanted. So we've got a ton of options that require just having Elementor, the free version, installed and not the Pro version. Now, while we're inside the Elementor editor, let me just take you through and show you some of the extra features you have when you install these Jet plugins. Now, normally you just have the basic section and the general section and the WordPress section as part of your normal Elementor free. However, now because you've got a range of different Jet plugins installed, and obviously depending upon what Jet plugins you have installed, you will see different sections and different options inside here. So choosing the ones that we've currently installed as part of our theme, these are the options we have available. So you've got things like Jet blocks, Jet elements, and we can easily pull any of this information in, use any of these widgets any way we want to. So we could say we want to pull a team member in, well, we can simply drag and drop that onto our page and then start filling out all the relevant different pieces. We can duplicate this if we wanted to, so we'll duplicate this 3 times, for example, and now what we can do is we can just configure this any way we want to make sure that we're using those predefined widgets, and then we can put our own content in there. So you could easily use a combination of these widgets that we've got as part of the Jet plugin suite, and also the different layouts you've got as part of the templates that are shipping as part of Monstroid 2. So there's a ton of options, ton of flexibility, and with those Jet plugins, you've got lots and lots of very cool and very easy to use features and widgets that allow you to get really creative with your page designs. Now, if you're kind of in that process where you're testing the designs out, you're not really sure which one you want to work with, and you want to be able to jump back into that wizard, the whole way of creating a starting point, choosing the plugins and so on, we've also got easy access to that. If we come over to the demo content section, you can see we can click on import, and from inside there we can choose any of these the pre-designed styles we chose earlier on, and you can see we can come in, we can say install demo or view demo. You can also come into the plugin wizard and go through a different way. So you can come in here, this will go through, just check that you are matching what it needs, things like the PHP versions and so on. Then you can click on next, and that'll then take you through and start that selecting a skin, starting the install process, and allows you to go through and easily go and choose a different design from any of these pre-designed skins, go through, choose to update the content on there, and then use that next one as another starting point. So it's easy to go through and test these various different skins out and just see exactly what they do. Now, like I said, you've also got access to a ton of different plugins from Jet. So if we come over and take a look in the plugin section, you can see what we have available in this particular setup. Now, this is the nice thing about this is we've got a ton of options. We've got things like Jet Elements, which opens up a ton of things inside Elementor. So if you want to, you can get very creative with that. Jet Blog allows us to create really good looking blog layouts, and if we combine that with the Jet Theme core functionality, which is basically working with a templating structure like you'd have in Elementor Pro, you have a very, very powerful way of being able to customize and build out much more complex websites without, like I say, investing any more money into something like Elementor Pro or any of the additional tools you may need to get the same kind of functionality. It's all included inside Monstroid 2. So there's a ton of features, but also a ton of value. So if you wanted to take this and just use this in its very most basic form, but just have access to all these plugins, you could do just that. There's a lot of options on how you can utilize this to make sure you get the most out of it. So what are my thoughts? What are my pros and cons about utilizing Monstroid 2? Well, let's go through the cons first of all, because there's not that many of them. For me, I'd like to see a much easier way of being able to just install the clean theme and pick and choose the plugins that you want to use. That for me would make it much easier. But like I say, this is more kind of geared towards the kind of individuals or businesses that don't really feel that comfortable building something from scratch. They want a good starting point with a ton of options available if they want to utilize them. Because like I say, you don't have to install these plugins. You can just pick and choose what you want as bare minimums. But it gives you a lot of good looking designs to start off with, a ton of different layouts, and also a ton of scope to expand into. That for me is probably the biggest negative about this whole design package. However, things that I do think are very, very good about this, if you want a great starting point, this is definitely something worth considering. I think it offers incredible value for money because the amount of Jet plugins that you get inside this alongside the theme really does make it for a very flexible, powerful design suite. Straight out of the box, this should give you more than enough control, more than enough to compete with something like Elementor Pro. You can utilize the flexibility and ease of use of Elementor Free and then supplement that with all the Jet plugins that are included as part of Monstroid 2. That makes it a very worthwhile package, especially if you just want something that you can experiment with these different plugins without necessarily having to go and pick and choose, buy each one individually or purchase a Croco block, which is kind of their one way of selling the entire package of Jet plugins. This gives you more than enough of the Jet plugins to be able to create very feature-rich websites all inside the Elementor page builder environment. So that's something I think is very, very useful. Have you ever used Monstroid 2 yourself? Is it something you consider for projects in the future? If you've used it, let me know in the comments section below. I'd love to find out your experience of working with this. And if you found it good, bad, indifferent, let me know in the comments section below. Again, I'd like to say thank you to Template Monster for reaching out and asking me to do a sponsored video to bring the details about the Monstroid 2 theme to you guys. Hopefully it's something you found interesting and maybe opens up where there's a possibility of the theme for you in the future. As always, all the applicable links for this and everything else we cover on the channel are in that description below. Let me know your feedback on Monstroid 2 in the comments section, and until next time, my name has been Paul C. This has been WPTuts. Take care.